block in the city of Durban.
The worst flooding in decades.
Search and rescue efforts are underway after catastrophic flooding killed more than 400 people in South Africa.
Thousands of houses and informal homes have been damaged.
At the height of the damaging and deadly floods in Kwa-Zulu Natal in April 2022, a group of young innovators, coders and creatives worked around the clock, 36 hours to be exact, to help citizens in need. Designed and launched by local Durban companies, Pista and Black Box, the Durban Crisis Map was developed at their own cost to connect citizens who were in need to those who could offer support. The impact was extraordinary, with 30,000 users using the platform in just 2 weeks. This attracted the attention of the City of eThekwini municipality, as well as earning them the space at the Durban Nerve Centre. Today we're going to chat to these self-proclaimed disruptors about how they are just getting started. I meet Nkululeko Mthembu from Pista Ventures to find out how his passion drove him to co-create this project.
So you can imagine you're sitting there and it's raining non-stop and you're seeing news articles of floods everywhere, right? So we're at war at that time. And the natural response for us, a natural instinct to survive for us, was to fight. And we spent 36 hours building something really just based on that drive and that motivation and that passion to want to help.
It must have taken some resources to get the tool developed. How did you make it happen?
So we were self-funded. And I suppose in the work that we were doing inspired some people and inspired some actors, and they contributed to the project.
How would you know once somebody has helped? How does that work?
When someone had a need, you had the red pin. When someone had a resource, it represented itself as a green pin. Now, if you saw a red pin on the map, you would be able to directly contact that person and then log yourself in the blue. So what we created was a sort of feedback mechanism where people could actually see that people were being helped. And through that, we were sort of communicating a positive sentiment around hope and trust in citizens.
Who was involved, and what were some of the lessons learned in those partnerships with the different stakeholders you've worked with?
So the principal partners were Black Box and Pista that came together to build the tool. Outside of that, we had Heal Our Land, which was phenomenal in the way that they provided resource to this partnership. What we then later found is that local government came on board and propelled us all the way through to provincial government and national government at the sense. So those were the actors that really helped propel the crisis map. Developing the crisis map put us in the Nerve Centre, made up of local, provincial and government actors. What was really fascinating was our ability to deliver real-time data to inform decision-making. The second largest thing for us and the biggest theme was being able to contribute to an overall strategy that saw relief efforts across the province.
From Nkululeko, we've learned that it certainly takes a community of people from all sectors to amplify the crisis map, but challenges still exist. In Durban, I also met with Callum Oberholzer of Black Box, who also shared their design philosophy for the project.
The biggest lessons, I have two, and the first one was that designing on your hopes is a lot quicker than designing on your fears. And I think we had this idea of how we hoped people would use the platform, and we decided instead of trying to go through a whole bunch of hoops and processes on how designing and trying to stop people from using the platform in specific ways, that would be designing according to our fears. But with hopes, it was okay, people are in crisis mode. What do they need? They need a big button to press that says, hey, I'm here, this is my name, come and help me. And that's kind of how we built it, and that allowed us to solve the problem a lot quicker and actually solve the real problem. And then the second one is that don't be afraid to test your work in public, in the market. You have so many assumptions on how you think people are going to use things. Take your initial assumptions, try and research and validate them as much as you can, but then push it out and get that feedback, and that really helped us.
Could the map be improved to serve other needs?
Yes, definitely can. The map was obviously built in crisis mode for a crisis, and I think it did its job there. But going forward, we want to convert it from being a crisis map to a community care map, where across the country we would be able to see needs coming out from different communities, and see that from like a top level, and allow both state and non-profit sectors to understand what's happening on the ground through a centralized platform that's working in a decentralized manner.
Sure. How can communities who need help approach Black Box?
So first up, I'd recommend they go check out the crisis map. So they can go to crisismap.black-box.io, and they can log their needs on that particular map. And then they can also they can sign up to our newsletter on our website, which is black-box.io, and they can follow us on social media channels like Instagram and LinkedIn.
Dr. Sandile Mbata from the eThekwini municipality shares how the project has shaped the city's thinking and its future response.
Tell me, what was your response when you heard or saw of the KZN crisis map the first time?
It meant that communities and families could connect support to the need or need to the support. So it means that communities were doing something for themselves to come out of the situation. So yeah, it was pretty exciting for us because we know there was civil tech organizations were supporting us in the response to the disaster.
What can other cities learn from your experience with crisis response?
I think the two biggest thing is humility, understanding that as a state we need support from private sector entities, civil society organizations, academia and so forth. If we are humble as a state, we are then able to ask for help and support. So recovery is not just, it's going to be a big part of it is going to be about infrastructure and restoring services, but it's also going to be about restoring communities. How do you go deeper into some of the community issues and the traumas, of course, that families have faced, communities have faced collectively? How do you deal with those issues? But also, how do we pick up the lessons, right?
So we're on a big fundraising drive right now. We've reached out to the local municipalities, some private sector players and venture capitalists, and we feel that if they come behind us, we could build something extraordinary. I mean, right now we've built a go-kart, and what we're really trying to do is build the Land Rover of civic technologies. Yeah.
Do you have a big civic idea to change your city? Perhaps now's the time to get in touch with the Durban Crisis Map team. Who knows the positive impact you might have?